Chuckload of Comics is brought to you by Cold War Games, creators of Squarriors, Fight Your Friends, and Lady Death Last Stand. For more information, visit coldwar.us.
Well, John, I want to get your opinion on the final trailer of the week that we want to break into. We've all known for a little while that HBO is working on a Watchmen series, limited series on HBO for the Watchmen. The show is going to take place in present day, so it takes place about 40 years after the events of the Watchmen book. I know you're a huge Watchmen fan.
Yeah.
You saw the trailer for this. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on what we saw in the trailer? What'd you like? What did you not like? What do you think about the series existing at all?
I mean, it's. I'm glad that they're doing it. Like I said, you know, they're expanding on it. I'm sure Alan Moore doesn't like it. Alan Moore, doesn't like any of his movies. He doesn't want his name on the pictures or be associated with them.
That's interesting.
The Watchmen. They were supposed to make a Watchmen in the 1980s. It was going to be. What's that guy from Monty Python who did Brazil? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Terry Jones.
Terry Gilliam.
Gilliam. Yeah, he was supposed to. It was going to be a 12-part series on TV, but the budget was $4 million.
Jeez, back in the 80s.
Yeah, so it got shelved. But I think that Watchmen, with his brilliant mind, would have been awesome. Zack Snyder did a great job.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I really like
The
the
film's
Watchmen.
great.
It's the most accurate film or comic to film adaptation ever, except for the ending.
Yeah, he took out some stuff like the black frigate and stuff like that.
Right. Which, getting back to the trailer, they hinted at that. There's this one shot of a sickle with a pirate flag hanging from it as they're panning along.
That's pretty
So
crazy.
I think they're hinting at that pirate, the Black Freighter. Tales of the Black Freighter, I think is what it was called. Or was it Frigate?
That was an EC. I think it was an actual EC comic book.
Really?
That he loved as a child, and he incorporated into it because, like I said, it had an impact on him. But Alan Moore's the most brilliant mind in comic books. I mean, we know he did that. He did the Swamp Thing, V for Vendetta. He thinks outside the box, and he just doesn't. And the fact that he took superheroes and created them into like a real life scenario, not like cartoony.
Right.
But he made it like kick-ass. You know, these are actual people. They have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're
big
just,
time.
Yeah.
Comedian was not one. Was not a hero in the slightest. He was a rapist and a.
Is not a hero either. That dude's just a sick puppy.
Well, let's talk about Rorschach. In the trailer, we see that now this takes 40 years later. There's a whole cult of Rorschach followers who are gonna take over the world. The police department, all wearing masks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What's your take on the fact that they're all wearing yellow masks? Is it that, I mean, is society looking for masked heroes, and that's what they decide to do? Let's put the police department in masks because people trust people in masks?
That's probably the direction. That's a good direction to go into. If I was going to speculate, I'd say that'd probably be correct. The front line, first responders.
Or is it because people maybe hate the cops for some reason and they need to disguise
They need to hide their
themselves?
identity.
I mean, I think maybe that could be a plausible thing.
I got a lot of faith in the writers for HBO. I mean, I'm sure they didn't pinch any pennies in getting writers and directors for this thing.
And it's a mini-series. It's not like, so that's perfect.
The only character we saw carry over from the original to this is Adrian Veidt, played by Jeremy Irons.
Man,
Killer casting.
The show is great.
Ozymandias.
Yeah, Ozymandias by Jeremy Irons
And
looks sick. He's just sitting there in he's like in a yoga position, watching because he was
The Survivor.
He's one of the only survivors. Yeah.
Right.
The Spectre went off. I'm sure they went off and got married and lived a different life. So he is
Night Owl.
He was the catalyst for the whole thing.
Night Owl survived the Watchmen, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, and he went. Silk Spectre, I'm sure.
Yeah, they probably got off married. They probably have their child in this show.
Ah, there you go.
And,
somewhere. The ticking clock, which was kind of the universal theme of this trailer, the tick tock, tick tock. Every time they showed a clock, all the clocks were like 10 minutes to midnight. They showed it a couple times. It was in a pocket watch. It was on a little desk clock, and even if you look back on it, when all the Rorschach people, the cult of Rorschachs, there's a crucifix behind them. The crucifix is angled just a little bit.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's the doomsday clock. That when that clock strikes midnight, it's nuclear war. And when this series came out in the mid '80s, that was seriously on people's mind. We thought we were going to go to war with Russia and everyone was going to die. So when he wrote that, it was in a climate. A climate that's different now. Nixon was still president in that, and we all know that Nixon was not a good president. It's like we're living in Alan Moore's bizarre reality right now. Political
Don Johnson, we saw at the very end.
Killer casting. Not
who
sure who
is
he's
Don
playing.
Johnson going to be? Because he does say, TikTok. That's the final line of the trailer's TikTok.
I noticed that.
Is Don Johnson one of the Rorschach followers? Because he's obviously plays like a sheriff. You can tell.
Oh yeah, we're all speculating for the people watching. Right? We have no idea.
But at the beginning, I mean, the Rorschach followers were all saying TikTok, TikTok, and at the very end, it's Don Johnson saying TikTok, TikTok.
To me, I think that was just whoever he was having the conversation with. He wanted him to know, like, he knew that guy was part of it.
Almost
of thing.
like Hail Hydra in Endgame when Captain America's sitting in the elevator and he's like, Hail Hydra.
Well, the clock represents like
Doomsday.
It's serious. So this show's pretty. It's gonna be epic. Whatever the clock represents, it's gonna be the end of the world as they know it in that series.
Yeah. Well, the point of trailers, as we say all the time, is to heighten your excitement.
Right.
If the trailer doesn't heighten your excitement for the movie or for the show, then it failed at doing its job. Shauna, did this trailer excite you about the show? Did it heighten your enthusiasm?
I mean, even though I have no idea what it's going to be about, I still loved the casting. I love that Don Johnson's in it. I think it's going to be great.
They didn't show Dr. Manhattan though, and he left the Earth.
Yeah.
He went somewhere else.
You almost can't do Watchmen without Dr. Manhattan.
He might get an experience.
He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Dong swinging.
This won't be. Yeah, there you go. This won't be the last of it. I mean, this is gonna. If it is a hit, they'll make more of them and more series.
For sure.
I mean, it's an ever-expanding universe.
Yeah.
They could turn this into the next MCU on television.
And it's pretty much all that DC has right now. So, in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
So, John, excitement level. Did this amp up your excitement level for the show, or were you excited at all before the trailer dropped?
I'm gonna watch it. I watch pretty much everything that comes on HBO. Not to do another product placement, brought to you by
Empire Strikes Back. Walt Disney Company.
But everything HBO does not make bad programming.
They don't.
True.
They just do not. I've been watching HBO since Dream On and Larry Sanders Show.
Right.
So, of course I'm going to watch it. It's on HBO. There's no commercials.
That should be their slogan. Of course I'm going to watch it. It's on HBO. There's no commercials.
Yeah, it's an hour straight, And most shows, when you watch, with the commercials, it ends up being 50 minutes. Or 20 minutes of a 30-minute show. But now with HBO, you get your money's worth. It's only $14.97 a month.
Well, on that note, guys, that's kind of your nerd news of the week. Thanks for watching Chuckload of Comics. John, thanks for being here, man.
All right. I'd love to be back. High five.
We're going to have you on via Skype sometime, all the way down from Florida.
I'm all about nerds.
You know your stuff, man.
Talk about D&D if you want.
No offense to anybody that's been on the show before, but you're probably the most knowledgeable guest we've ever had on Truckload of Comics.
Oh, well, that's a great honor. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We want to bring back the villain of the week at some point.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool, guys. Thanks. If you made it this far into the video, please take a second, click that subscribe button, join the Chuckload of Comics family. We're here every single Sunday breaking down the weekly nerdy headlines of the week, and there's always good stuff to talk about. Every week, something drops, and we're going to pick it up right here on Chuckload of Comics.
Woohoo!
So, guys, have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next Sunday.
Bye-bye.